Hey, welcome everybody to another Ground Zero. Talking the H1Z1 Ground Zero. I guess you can call this a podcast because mostly all I do is talk. There's no gameplay or anything, but we got great things to talk about. So I've been going through some forums, not really forums, mostly Reddit, but you get on the Google, you do a search, you find things, you see what people are talking about. I've got people responding in my other Ground Zero. So I wanted to just touch on a couple of items here that I thought stood out for me. First had a comment from I won't use names. You can go to the forum. You can go to my cast or something, my videos, and see it. But it was a very good point though. The point was Sony is just hopping on the bandwagon to make another zombie MMO, to make another game. And to say MMO is kind of I'm not sure how accurate you could say that, because games like DayZ, that's not an MMO, multiplayer, but not massively. So I agree. I think Sony is just hopping onto the bandwagon to make their version of a zombie game, to cash in on that. Completely true. I have no disagreement to that whatsoever. But the thing is, regardless of how we may feel about it, it's coming. So what we have to do is try to find the good points and how it can fit into already several games of the genre. So I know one game in particular that's come out that gets a lot of flack is the infamous War Z, which is now the Infestation Stories. And so that game has all kinds of history and issues in the history. And then you can find some people that enjoy it, who play it, and they think it's fine. Has the PvP, has the, scavenging, has varied looking zombies. It's coming out with a huge map for California, has vehicles in it. So in all respects, it has the same things as DayZ has. Maybe not the standalone. The standalone doesn't have vehicles, but like some of the mods with vehicles and zombies and shooting. I mean, so honestly, it has what a zombie game should have. Okay, so a lot of it's going to boil down to, what is your definition of a good zombie game? I really like, and I play the Dead Linger, and that doesn't seem to get a whole lot of big coverage because I think it's just so early in development in its alpha cycle. One could argue and say, well, it's been an alpha for a long time. Well, a lot of these games are. It's an independent, small gaming studio. It doesn't have Bohemia behind it. It's not a Sony. It's just a small company with, I don't even know how many people it has currently, but they're doing what they can to churn out a product. And they're on a cycle now for 1 to 2 months of patch, so it's not like they can just turn the content out like, say, a Sony can. So what does the Dead Linger have that sets it apart from some of these other games? Because it also has zombies and shooting and potential PvP and some multiplayer, and you got to go scavenge and things like that. I think some of it kind of boils down to in the way the zombies are portrayed. I think one of the biggest complaints that I hear about, say, DayZ standalone, is people say broken zombies. They complain about the zombies. The zombies either are totally stupid and don't attack you, or they're too aggressive, or it just seems like there's a big list of and that people that I've read, not everyone, but there's a kind of an opinion that the DayZ standalone zombies are just so pathetic that you're driven to, you might as well just do PvP. So now you look at say Infestation Story. I think their zombies are pretty good. You have to worry about stealth and sneaking close to them or running past them. They seem pretty darn good. They shuffle about kind of slowly unless they see you, and then it's not like they're super sprinting zombies, but they do move at a much quicker pace. You can run from them and get past the point where they don't chase you anymore. So they have, I think, better zombies than what I have seen from DayZ standalone. Now I will preface this by saying I have not played DayZ standalone. I've played a whole lot of mods, but I do watch a lot of people play DayZ standalone because that's kind of like the pinnacle of zombie games right now. And nobody really seems to care about the zombies. It's more of a, oh man, that annoying zombie's chasing me. And then they just axe it and you move on. Well, when I watch folks play infestation stories, it can be very similar at times. The people is the challenge. People go hunting the challenge to kill other players, but the zombies seem to be a lot more developed in infestation story. And that could be any number of reasons. The Arma engine that Daisy was built on doesn't really support quite the artificial intelligence for zombies, because it was supporting player soldiers at some point. Okay, I could see that, whereas infestation stories is purpose-built artificial intelligence system specifically for zombies. Now take a look at the Dead Linger. They have a completely different type of zombie from either game. They very much have a George Romero slow walking zombie, and their strength is that they come in large numbers. So when you see like Daisy's standalone, I'll watch people, they play forever and run into 1 or 2 zombies. Like there is not, you don't feel a zombie infestation when I watch that game. Maybe I'll see 3 or 4 zombies eventually, but a lot of times I'll just watch and they just run and run, and I'm thinking, are there any zombies on the map? Infestation stories, they don't have a whole lot of zombies that just wander the open world, but as soon as you start to hit some of these civilized areas with buildings, there can be quite a few zombies, and they respawn really, really fast. But it doesn't have a sense of 50 or 60 zombies in an area. Dead Linger, they're designing their game and their technology around having massive amounts of zombies. So in one of the episodes I did of my gameplay, I ran through an area and there was over 50 zombies just in a specific vicinity. Now, I will say this, because I had a whole bunch of ammunition, I was able to kill all 50 zombies and additional zombies throughout the entire episode just by, shooting them in the head. But at least they're zombies, you gotta shoot them in the head to kill them. Boom, shot and they're dead. That was something I didn't like about the infestation story survivors zombies thing. Seems like if I just put enough bullets in them, they died. Didn't have to be headshots. But it seemed like the only way to really kill them quickly was a headshot. But any other weapon took forever to kill them. Well, with a Dead Linger, headshots are the only thing that kill the zombie. Weapons do different amounts of damage, but it definitely seemed a lot easier to kill zombies in the Dead Linger than it did in infestation stories. So I don't know which is better. It just felt like a zombie movie when you play the Dead Linger. Bash them in the head with a shovel, they go down. Shoot them in the head, they go down. And I really don't feel that with Infestation Story. Their zombies might be better than DayZ, but they still don't have the right feel. DayZ zombies, you just shoot them enough and they die. I haven't really seen a mechanic yet where it really emphasizes a headshot versus body shots, leg shots, things like that. So, but again, that only comes from playing the mods for Arma 2 and not the standalones. The standalone might have much better zombies than the mods do. I just haven't quite seen it yet. So zombies, that's the big thing of the game. So what does all of that have to do with H1Z1? Quite a bit, because they have to look at all these different games and decide what kind of zombies are they going to go with, what behaviors are they giving them. Now, because they're running on PlanetSide 2 engine, things that I've read is that PlanetSide 2 engine wasn't really built to support artificial intelligence, the AI that runs the NPCs, because PlanetSide 2 was a player-driven game. So they're kind of having to take some of their other technologies and throw it into this PlanetSide 2 engine. So we'll see what kind of effect that has on zombies. They talk about emergent AI, so they might be using some technology from like EverQuest Next to kind of power the zombies. But then, how much artificial intelligence do they need? They walk around, they shuffle a bit, player comes within range, they get triggered in aggro, and then they chase the player down. So it's really hard to say what kind of zombie intelligence we'll see. Now, a game that I think had really good zombie intelligence was Project Zomboid. Now, it's a top-down kind of three-quarter view game, not a 3D view like some of these other games that we like. But I'll tell you, their zombies are great. They really seem to take into account if they hear you, see you. I think I read somewhere like to smell you. I'm not sure if you're bleeding, you're more likely to be detected. I think that's wonderful. You can really seem to sneak past them if you kind of develop your skills that way. You bash them in the head with baseball bats and stuff. It just, watching that game and kind of playing the demo off of Steam, it felt like zombies. Like, they did a really, really good job. And I think it's because of the technology. Yeah, they're using kind of a, this 8-bit-ish style, 16-bit graphics. So they don't have a lot of overhead as far as generating a world. So maybe they can dedicate more to the zombies. I really don't know, because they're kind of like these sprite characters. But they did a really, really good job with their zombies. So if Sony can make a zombie that really depends on sight, sound, potentially smell your character, your weapons, large caliber weapons have a wider area for the sound that they affect, and so if you're using silenced weapons, you can be a lot closer to the zombies without aggroing them, versus a non-silenced weapon, and the zombie will hear you and come at you. One thing I like about the Project Zomboid zombies is that when you do make sound, for instance, they go to where they heard the sound, like the point of the sound, not to who made the sound. So you can break a window, and let's say they hear the window and you try and sneak away. They're not automatically targeted on the player who made the noise. They're going to where the sound was. Now, when I play the Dead Linger, the zombies track in on who made the sound. So you could be on the other side of a building, make a sound, and try to go around the building, like the opposite side of where you saw some zombies, trying to draw them away. It doesn't matter. They're going to the player who made the sound. And that's just terrible. It doesn't leave you the ability to make tactics to draw zombies away. So I hope they can make something like that in the Dead Linger. But that's what I want to see in H1Z1. Zombies that kind of make sense. They're kind of shuffling until they see you, and then they pick up the pace. You shoot them in the head, bash them in the head, they go down. You can hit them in the body, and you might break an arm, so they're not quite as combat effective, but they don't die from arms and body shots. You got to hit them in the head. When you make noises, they go to where they heard the sound, not who made the sound. If you trigger things like light, again, they're going towards the source of the light and not who made the light. So you could throw like a chem light and they'll chase the chem light, but you give you a chance to sneak away. So I see a lot of potential here for them. So yeah, it's another company hopping onto that bandwagon of making a zombie game, but given their track record for large-scale servers supporting 1,000 players and approaching this from another perspective, they have a chance to take the good elements they've seen from these games, avoid the bad elements and the comments that they've seen about these other games, and make something good. I mean, just because they're a large company who are, trying to make a buck, doesn't mean it won't be a good game. And it's free. So, it's free to play. Hop on, find a server you like. If you don't like it, don't play it ever again. But that doesn't mean it won't be good. I mean, I enjoy EverQuest 2-ish, used to, don't play no more. But all the Sony games I've played, at some point, I did enjoy them. I might not play them now, but a lot of them are free to play, so I play them if I want. Well, this will be no different. It's free to play. I can hop on, play it if I like, see how the zombies have turned out, see how their different elements are working together, and play if I like. If I don't like it, I'll move on to something else. And I've got the Dead Linger as a great backup. So one other thing I want to talk about, there's actually so much. Every day there's stuff we could talk about. I'm going to see if I can find it here real quick. I think I had it on this comment. Yeah, we'll hit this one here. Dynamic voice chat. So there was on the Reddit, someone put out a great post about dynamic voice chat, and just to summarize what he put in there, because it was kind of lengthy and I didn't read it all. I kind of skim. I'm not a wall of text guy, but the gist was having sound be realistic. An example of, for example, if I'm talking at a normal speech level, a person who is, say, 10 feet away from me has an easier time of hearing me versus someone who is 30, 40, 50 feet away. Like, the further away you get from me, in the game, it processes the sound to make you quieter, as one example. When you're in rooms, like inside of a building, depending on the type of building and the size of the building, add in some reverb to when you talk. Another thing he mentioned was when you talk, like in DayZ, when you talk, like your character's mouth moves, but it's all totally whacked out funky, but it moves when you talk. Like, that was another example of dynamic voice. And so some of these things I thought, yeah, I think that would be great, because if I'm whispering to you and a person who is near me, that's going to carry as a whisper between those couple of folks. A person who might be 20 feet away in the game might not hear the whispering. In a lot of games currently, whatever you say is pretty much just broadcast at one volume throughout a certain distance. Maybe it's an unrealistic distance, like the whole zone or something. So you might not see somebody, but you can just talk normal and they'll hear you from like 200 meters away. So that might not be completely realistic, and then the zombies hear it. So what they're saying is, let's just try and shoot for a realistic sound engine on this. And they actually have some technologies, maybe not from Sony, but it makes me think of Arma. Go back to Arma. They have some like communication mods that help actually do that. If I'm closer to someone and talking to them, someone who's even further away, I do come across quieter on their headset. It even has realistic radio type chatter sounds. So it adds in the psh, psh type noises when you talk, breaker, breaker, psh, that kind of stuff. It also has kind of like a built-in radio staticky sound. I mean, it really makes you feel like you're talking on the radio to folks instead of just talking over voice chat. So some of that technology does exist out there for other games, and I think they could put it into this game. As far as like adding reverb and different sounds for when you are in different building types, I have seen games that do that. When you walk upon stone versus carpet, if you're in a big room, it adds a little bit of reverb for your steps and stuff. So I agree. I think dynamic sound would be awesome for a game like this, especially when it comes to communication. Because when we're talking about survival and I'm with a couple of friends or buddies, there might be times where we're whispering and we only want the folks in the immediate area to hear us and not necessarily talk and have that conversation be broadcast equally over an entire area that triggers zombies and alerts players and everything like that. We should be able to have nowadays technology that can actually take and handle sound and portray it in a sense that matters to how you're using it. If I want to yell, then that yell will be broadcast a lot further out than just whispering to my friends. I understand that we have things like TeamSpeak, and if I want to talk to just my friends, I put it on TeamSpeak. But if we're going to have chat inside the game, I think that would just add to a level of immersion that I don't see in a lot of other games. And I think that would be very, very cool. Plus, as far as the when you talk and the lips move of your character, well, they have that in EverQuest 2, a Sony game, as a matter of fact, where they have a camera that does facial recognition, so that when you smile, laugh, make all these whatever, and talk, that's what your character does in the game. It's not perfect, it kind of looks goofy, but they have that. So if you smile, your character smiles. So if you put that camera facial recognition system there in the game, then when you talk into your camera, the camera picks up your face, and then it will move the mouth according to how you talk. If you raise your eyebrows in surprise, then the little character in the game will raise their eyebrows in surprise. So all these different technologies are out there. It's up to Sony to say, hey, that's a great idea. let's bring that on board, incorporate it into our game. And the thing is, I know there's people who won't care. That's not important to them. But other people might think that's just the extra bit of charm that needs to keep the game entertaining for them. Because I just know when you put people into a game, regardless of how that game was designed to be supported, people will play it in their own way. And I know for a fact that there's going to be role players who pop into this game, and to them, having that little bit of charm for their character will make all the world of difference in how they play. Even if they're not going out doing in PvP and stuff. And your PvPers might not care. Or you might think, yeah, let me scope this guy in from 200 yards, shoot him, and then see the expression on his face. Maybe that will be a cool thing. I'll be batting somebody with an axe, and while they're going, I'm friendly, let's just watch the shock on them as I betray him and stab him in the back. That might just make the facial stuff even more cooler, So the technologies are there. I think they can take those things, incorporate them, maybe not at launch. I mean, EverQuest didn't put in that facial recognition software until years into the life cycle of the game, but since they have the technology, they could bring it over. I say could. I don't know how hard that would be, but I think it would look great. So those are just a couple of topics that came up that I wanted to share. We'll come back another time, cover up some new topics, and see further along how the development goes. So thanks for hanging out. Continue to leave your comments, good things about the game, bad things about the game. It's not even out yet, but let's go ahead and talk about what we like or don't like based on what we know. Then when it comes out, then we can tear it up even more. All right, thanks again, everybody. Have a great one.